I was 4 years old in 1977 when the first Star Wars movie was released. I'm a third generation modeler. My grandfather started building models way back when out of metal and wood, and was one of the early adopters of early plastic models. And my father, of course, followed on from there. And then I eventually did. So, whereas my grandfather mostly built through the, I guess, early 50s up through the, well, really the 80s, my father went from the 60s pretty much through the late 80s, really early 90s. And then I got my start in the 80s till the present. Now that being said, of course, when I was 7 in 1980, so it wasn't like I was any kind of majorly great model builder at that point. But the interest was peaked, and away I went. So anyway, when this model came out, I was a little bit too young to build it. So I was only 4 or 5 years old when this thing came out. So my father actually got it with the intention to build it for me. The problem is, of course, over time, like anything else, it kind of became a partially assembled thing. And, he went on to build other projects and do other things. I mean, my father is actually an award-winning modeler. He's won multiple awards at various shows back in the day. So, when the Kenner toy of this came out, of the X-Wing fighter came out, I can see why he probably thought, well, no real need to build this model for Dade because, he can just swoosh around the Kenner toy. So this model got put on the back burner. This kit right here is that same original kit bought way back when. It stayed in the family the entire time. And so now I own it. So, my neighbor down the street, my friend Ron, when he came to visit one time, he saw it sitting up on the tie shelf, and he was like, "Is that an original?" And I said, "Yeah." And we were kind of talked about, the early days of Star Wars fandom and everything. And so I started thinking, yeah, at some point I really need to finish this thing up. So we can actually kind of go over here. It's kind of interesting to see. Here's the original instruction book, complete with little notes that my father had jotted down in pencil. I'm not quite sure what exactly he was making note of, but I guess something. And so then we go over here. Here are, some of the different parts. Now I, of course, have since kind of cleaned things up and puttied things over and stuff like that. And these are, the engines and the guns and everything. I've actually cut off the tips of the guns because I'm going to be putting in tubes instead of just the weird little plastic pieces. And then up here is the actual X-Wing itself. I've adapted it to be able to be mounted onto a Bandai base. My father pretty much had gotten to this stage. It's kind of interesting, looking at it closely here, we can see that he actually did add some detail into those little spaces inside the S-foil wings. Added a little bit of channel and stuff like that, so that way it just wouldn't be blank pieces. But he pretty much got it to this stage. The wings were still able to open and close when I opened this box up, but with that in mind, they were always kind of floppy, always kind of weird, so I pretty much just locked them down. So now they're solid, they don't close, but really, how many times do people ever show their X-Wings with the wings closed anyway? So that's not really a big deal. So, same thing as with the other pieces. I've since, puttied over a lot of the gaps. I've added things and, smooth things out and everything. So, the intention with this is to build a customized version for my friend. We're both Volkswagen guys. His Volkswagens and, cars in general are usually blue. My stuff's always black. So the intention of this is to paint this X-Wing blue with black stripe work and everything. And, weather it out accordingly and everything. Because, hey, if Poe can have a black X-Wing with orange stripes, and a guy can be flying around in a red TIE Interceptor, surely somewhere in the galaxy there could be a blue X-Wing. So that's the intention with this, and when this is done, I'll give this to my friend. Because since he's another old school Star Wars fan, and he's kind of helped out a lot, I figured it'd be kind of a fun gift to do. So, if we get in close, we can also see, you know, that there's been a lot of kind of dirt and stuff over the years. It's kind of weird because it was inside a box, but somehow it still got weird, you know, dirt on the plastic, you know, on the skin work and everything. Might have been thanks to the fact that my father was a smoker, so maybe there was that little bit of film of tar on there that just kind of attracted stuff over the years. So, first thing I'm going to have to do, I mean, it's a good thing to do anyway with models, mainly to get rid of release agent, but especially with something like this, as we're definitely going to have to give this kit a bath, as well as all of the pieces, and then we will go from there. So, when all is said and done, hopefully we'll have something kind of interesting and a little bit different and special than the usual X-Wings. We'll see what happens. And here we are. Here's the finished product. A lot of work, a lot of crazy stuff going on. You'll have to forgive me for the backdrop. It's probably going to clip out a bunch of times. You can already see probably at the edges. Just once again, I'm in the middle of a move and everything, so I was trying to get this thing finished up and done along with packing, and, you know, the place is kind of a shambles, so this is, you know, kind of shooting this in the middle of something kind of crazy. I think we're only like 9 days out or something now from the moving date. The fact that I'm not even sure about that shows how frazzled I am. So with this, we can see, again, what we were kind of talking about, or what I described at the beginning of the video, different colors of blue. And we've got going on is we have one type of color here, another color shade blue here. There's a couple little doodads here and there. I'm not sure if the lighting really shows it or not. The black stripes, because once again, as originally talked about, my neighbor's cars are always blue. My cars are always black. So his you know, the main color is various shades of blue, but the black stripes. It's kind of funny because I was also thinking about the fact that my first car was a 1974 Beetle, and I actually had it painted kind of this color blue angel blue almost, with black racing stripes. So in a way, this is kind of a throwback to that too. So we rotate this around, we can take a look, different angles, kind of see kind of the business end of things here. I have it adapted to be on a Bandai base, so, you know, that way it can be adjustable and everything. The original base that comes with is very flimsy, kind of scary looking. I liked how retro it was, but yeah, just I was completely terrified that thing was going to just collapse at some point. We'll rotate it around a little bit more. Kind of get some, try to see a little bit like this. So here we can see the R2 unit, which is red and white. And the reasoning behind that is my friend's alma mater is University of Maryland. I guess go Terrapins. And I didn't go, so. But their colors are white and red, or red and white actually. So I figured, you know, I'd been kind of racking my brain over what color to paint this astromech, and it kind of came up in conversation, and it was like, oh yeah, okay, perfect. So I think it provides a nice little pop color there, a little spot color to kind of pop it out a little bit. Can also notice on the wings are Rebel insignias. These were actually custom decals I had done by Bad Mother Tattoo. Jeff McGarry, usually kind of mostly known for doing decals that you would put on different figures. Like that's why they're called tattoos, because their decals are basically that way. If you want to put a Rebel insignia on, you know, Luke Skywalker's arm or something, you know, that's kind of their thing. But I was like, well, you know, what if we just kind of scaled those up and kind of add a little bit of pizzazz for this project, so that it's on the top and bottom, the top and bottom wings. So we have one on either side, and yeah, it worked out beautifully. Definitely recommend them. Usually I always generally deal with Samuel Decal out of Hong Kong for doing my custom decals, but Samuel's just been so swamped with work and all this other kind of stuff, and he's been kind of trying to phase out the custom decal line. So I figured, well, I'll try somebody here in the U.S. So if we turn around, so this I think is actually probably one of the best views, because it really shows off kind of the detail of what we're doing here. We can really very clearly see the insignias. We can see the R2 unit back there. There's all this kind of detail work in here. And what I did was, inside of the engines, these are basically a Gaia Starbright Silver. And then what I did was, inside I sprayed a series of transparent oranges and reds to kind of create a little bit of an engine color without having to worry about wiring up LEDs and all that kind of stuff. Here we get another view of the rear. So it looks pretty good. Once again, kind of hard to see because it's kind of small. But another thing I did was remove the original rather weak molded on gun barrels. They were just basically just plastic stubs, and I replaced them with actual small tube. So these gun barrels actually are hollowed out. So if a viewer gets really close and looks, they look pretty legit. Look like they mean business now, and it's nice and straight. It's got an open end, so that's definitely a nice bonus. And once again, apologies for the bad lighting for all of this. It would have been nice to have it a little bit brighter, but unfortunately a lot of lighting equipment has been packed away. So, that's the problem with kind of doing these last minute projects and in the middle of moving. But my videos after this I might be doing a quick inbox review before I move, but once we're established in a new place and I have a chance to set up my lights and everything, I should be able to better show off what's going on. But this will work for now. So once again, we kind of go around here. We just kind of see the detail work in the back. And what I used mostly for everything was mostly painted with Gunzi and Gaia for the basic colors, and then a lot of washes using Citadel. Some final washes were done using the Tamiya just black wash, and then wiped down with enamel thinner to clean it off. And so once again, here's the pilot. Again, kind of hard to see inside with the glare of the glass, which of course is why they left the glass out of the shooting models for that exact reason. But if you kind of look closely, you can just about make out how his helmet is blue, and with the red and white and black and yellow stripes for the flag of Maryland. So again, my friend and I were both native Marylanders, even though I'm about to move to North Carolina. It's always been in my heart. So once again, just kind of a nice little kind of call out. And, once again, the figure, despite being really kind of a terrible figure, with some careful paint work, kind of made him work. Kind of worked out overall. He's not really holding on to anything. And again, I didn't really have time to really scratch build a cockpit and a stick and everything. I mean, it's one of those things where it really starts to come down to the wire, and just every little stupid thing starts to really add a lot of time. And so now here it is sitting on its engines. Looks like it's ready for blast off or something, kind of like that old Estes Rockets version of this that came out years and years ago, where people could actually build a reasonable facsimile of an X-Wing, stuff it with rockets in the engines, and have it blast off. I always thought it would be kind of interesting. I always thought it was weird, the R2-D2 version where the head would actually come off and the parachute would come out. Now I'm really showing my age. Raise your hand if anybody remembers those crazy things. Let's take a look at the bottom view here. So once again, we can see that, I have the insignias on the bottom too. And, if we look at it like this, you can kind of see the inner wing detail work. As well as the little port that I built for the Bandai base to slot into. Inside the engine intakes, didn't really have a chance to really clean them out as well as I would like to have, but what I did was, instead of painting it black, I actually put in black soot, because I think that actually makes for a better dead black kind of vibe as far as what's going in there. It's not going to reflect anything out really well. It really absorbs the light, so it makes it seem a little bit deeper than usual. I mean, of course, here with light shining right on it, it's kind of obvious, but under normal lighting conditions, works out pretty well. So of course we can come up here. Guns look kind of weird from this angle. They are lined up and straight, but yeah, there we go. Kind of strange. Okay, so final thoughts on this project. It was really interesting working on the old school MPC kit. Again, I'm essentially the original owner of this, since my father bought it for me years and years ago. So it's been kind of haunting around the collection forever, and so it's fun to actually do this one last thing. One of the things I really do like about this is, which has always been kind of interesting to me, is the way it has this kind of this cut in here. It's kind of severe in a way compared to a lot of other kits. I mean, some models don't even have that, and based on some of the blueprints, even they don't even really depict that. So that's kind of something, just kind of, I guess, NPC kind of cooked up on their own. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not an X-wing specialist by any stretch of the imagination. I'm more of an Imperial guy. But I actually like that. I think I really like kind of that cut in like that. I think it adds a little bit of interesting kind of grace to it that it would be lacking if it just went straight down into the body, into the main fuselage area. So I actually really like that. I think that's kind of cool. It's the only real model that really has it at such a degree. So that's pretty neat. Yeah, plastic's kind of brittle, but what do you expect for something that's been kind of hanging out in the garage and the attics, and moved around through 5 or 6 moves or whatever, and but overall held up pretty well. It's kind of funny because I actually have Lionel train stuff from that same point in time when MPC owned Lionel. So, but the plastic on that stuff's actually a little bit better, I guess, because whoever was buying that stuff, I guess maybe had taken better care of it, I guess, than we did. I mean, we didn't really realize when we got this that it would be shuffled around so much. Definitely some fit issues here and there. I mean, my father had already, as seen at the beginning of the video, my father had already put together most of the wings and the fuselage and everything, and some of the other stuff, and I just had to kind of construct it all together. But yeah, a lot of finagling to get the canopy to fit, and even then it doesn't really fit very well. It's one of those things where maybe if I had more time and was really going bananas, one of the simplest, easiest things just kind of turns into this major just hassle. And the engines, I think, look pretty good. Overall, once again, using different kinds of different shades, different metallics. things like that. So, overall, I would say that this is definitely, a fun project. I recommend it to anybody who wants to maybe try a vintage kit. MPC can do some weird stuff, but when it all kind of comes together, if you're willing to, like anything else, if you're willing to invest the time and the effort, I guess the money to a degree, it'll turn out pretty well. So that is it. And I hope you enjoyed this, and hope maybe it kind of inspired you to maybe get out and try your own MPC X-Wing or maybe another vintage kit. So we'll see you next time. Has anybody talked about the fact that the helmet that Luke is wearing in this picture is actually the kind of helmet that Viper pilots wear in Battlestar Galactica? Kind of weird. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe this is something that's been discussed ad nauseum already amongst fandom, but it's the first time I ever noticed it. It's kind of crazy. So, something to think about.